Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to July's edition of VRM Insider. We are so excited to have everyone join us today. My name is Tracy Sanderson. I'm the marketing director here at Virtual Resort Manager, and I'm your host for VRM Insider. This month is a little bit different than our quote unquote normal VRM Insider because normally we try to feature an industry partner. However, this month we have some pretty exciting things going on at VRM, and we wanted to take a moment to use this spot that's already on the calendar. We know how busy you guys are, so we didn't want you to have to put another hour-long block on your calendar during the month. So we're going to use this time as wisely as possible. And we're going to talk about VRM Admin Console version 7.0. If you guys have not heard of what 7.0, I know you guys will hear of, the 6.14 and the 6 point, et cetera. So to get to 7 is a really big deal. And what that means is that we are going to be releasing a new version of the admin console, and that version won't just have fixes, but we're actually looking at a new look and feel to the admin console. We're very, very excited about it. It's been a labor of love for our development department. They've worked tirelessly on it, and they are still working on it. And so today we have Michelle Smith and Lauren Schreckengoss. They are from our training and support department, and they are going to be going over the changes that you can expect to see in version 7.0. Really what we want to do is just give you a preview. Go ahead and let your team start the training process now and getting familiar with what 7.0 is going to look like, where some things I'm guessing have been, relocated, why it looks the way that it's going to look, etc. As always, I am recording this session, so you will get it as a replay. And I do encourage you to share this with your entire team. If someone on your team is using VRM, they do need to watch this training. And of course, any subsequent training that we may have in addition to this. So please be sure to share it with them when you get the replay information. It will be available via email. It'll also be live on our blog, and it will be in the admin console as an alert message for about a week or so. So be paying attention to that. Today, we're going to be holding questions till the very end of the webinar. So if you have questions, go ahead and use the Q&A button. It's down at the bottom of your screen. If you're on a desktop, just hover down towards the bottom, and you should see two little speech bubbles side by side, and that says Q&A. You can click on that and type in your answer, but we will hold those answers till the very end for our designated Q&A session. So go ahead and ask the questions. That way you don't forget them later, but at least that's what would happen to me. I'd think of something, and then 20 minutes later, it would be gone. So don't do that, or write it down and have your notes later on so that Michelle and Lauren can answer those questions for you. They'll also make sure to give you clear instructions at the end of the webinar that if you have additional questions later on, that you know exactly how to do that. Okay, so I think that I've covered all of the housekeeping things, and I am going to go ahead and turn this webinar over to the very capable hands of the very well-loved Michelle and Lauren. So Michelle and Lauren, thank you so much. Take it away.
All right. Thank you, Tracy. And thank you everyone for joining us today. So I'm going to start us off, and we are going to first look at, we're all familiar with our current dashboard. That's one of the areas with 7.0 that is changing. I personally love the changes. This is what our new dashboard is going to look like. And we're going to, within the next couple slides, break down things that have changed, things that are being added here. So the first thing that we're going to look at is one of the biggest changes in this release is we've now added Welcome Home into the dashboard. So before, we had to go to a couple different places within the VRM admin console to get to Welcome Home. Now it's in the dashboard as a module. So Lauren will go over the changes to Welcome Home in more detail in a little bit. But if we go to the next slide, Welcome Home, the way that we used to get to that, there's 3 different ways we could get to it. Under members and guests, we could get to it under system configuration reports, Welcome Home, and under miscellaneous CRM. So all of this is going to go away with the 7.0 release. And the reason for that, again, is we've brought Welcome Home into the VRM system. So now you just need to go to the Welcome Home module to get to the Welcome Home options that you need, which again, Lauren will go over in detail here in a little bit. On this screenshot here, what we have is the current dashboard, and then what the new dashboard will look like. We've also moved a few modules in hopes that it flows a little better. So we have, reservations, calendars, members and guests, properties. Long-term used to be all the way down here. We've kind of brought that up into the area with your short-term. So we're hoping the flow is a little bit better. Than we've grouped maintenance and housekeeping together, then owners, then your communication to guests and owners, accounting, system configuration, and then some of the lesser used modules at the bottom. So we've rearranged a little bit. All the same modules are still there with now the addition of Welcome Home. Again, your employees will only see the modules they have access to. So if your company doesn't do long terms and no one has permissions for that module, you will not see it. So that hasn't changed. It's just basically the order of what they're listed here in the for the different modules. The other thing is we have added the dashboard, which when you click on that, it's going to take you back to that main dashboard we just looked at 2 slides ago. Okay. The other thing that I have over here on the right is before, when we had a module open, like in this case, we had calendar open, you could see it was in blue, and then the sub modules were in a light blue. Now, to tell when a module is open, it'll still be blue, just like we had in the old. And then you see the sub modules in this gray color. Okay, so you would just click on that little arrow to then close that. So members and guests, you can see that arrow is pointing down. Properties, these are all closed. I also have my Welcome Home module open. Again, I can tell that because it's in blue, and then my sub modules are underneath that in gray. So this is where everything is now located for Welcome Home. It's all been moved into your VRM admin console. So that's one of the big changes of 7.0. The other changes is to the quick access. So my first little screenshot here is what you currently have. We have the quick access, and then we have all those tabs across here. In the current dashboard, if you were to click on reservations, it would bring a drop down, and the only way to close out of that drop down would be to click on the quick access. What we've done is in the new dashboard, which we have here, we've removed quick access. We still have the same options, and we've added one as well. Before, we just had work orders that only went to maintenance. Now we have maintenance work orders and housekeeping work orders, so you can get to both from that quick access bar. Now, when you open up a tab, you'll have this little X here. So that's how you close out of that drop down that does open, rather than clicking quick access is what you currently do to close out of that now. The only other change here is before, when we clicked on properties, that would open the property management grid. What it does now within the new is it opens up the filter option that is located in the property management grid. Okay, so because none of the other tabs open to a completely new window, it was just this drop down to search what it is that you're looking for. Okay, so that's one of the changes to the quick access. The next thing I want to go over, this is the new dashboard look, right? We have our quick access we just talked about here. Then over here, we have some icons. The first three are the same icons you currently have available, which is status, where you can view VRM status. So if we have a disruption or an outage, you click on that, it's going to show you that information. We have the little icon here to click on to get to the help desk, where you can send in a help ticket if needed. Then we have this little circle with the question mark, which is a link to our help center. And then we have two new icons here. One is edit company news, which we'll talk about in detail in a few minutes. That's going to be where you can add company news to your dashboard. And the other one is widgets, which I'm going to talk about on the next slide. So what we're going to talk about down below here is this edit profile icon. If you click on that icon, this is the window that comes up. What you can do here is you can change the color of your background of the dashboard and of the navigational menu background. So you have the ability to change that to any color you like. The other new addition here is limit new windows. What this, oops, sorry about that. What that does is if you turn that on, that's going to limit the number of windows that open when using the system. So currently that is working with the new Welcome Home module. So if you have that on and you go to Welcome Home and you click on one-time messages, it's going to open that one-time message here within your dashboard rather than popping up a new screen. Okay, so that's the other change that you can set here. So we're going to make changes in the future to that under the other modules as well. But again, currently that's only working with Welcome Home. All right, then the next slide that we have here is the widgets. So we can get to the widgets by clicking this little icon here or the little same icon down here, either place. When you click on that, it's going to open up this widget selection. So this is telling me the widgets I have set up on my dashboard. The occupancy chart, favorite reports, readiness manager, which are all right here, and then lead gauge. So I have that turned off, but you can turn that on, and that's only going to come into play if a client is using Lead Tracker. So from the widgets, when you're on your dashboard, you have favorite reports. I have a couple already set up. I can simply click on set up quick access reports, and that's going to show me the modules that I have permission to. And then I can select my reports that I need to use on a daily basis, weekly or monthly basis as well, or ones I want to use on demand. Okay, so that can all be set up by each individual user from their dashboard. You also have the option here of closing this. So if you close that here, that's going to turn off that widget here under the widget selection as well. Okay, now again, if someone they X on that and they didn't mean to, they can simply come into either one of these sections and turn that back on by just moving this over and turning it on. Okay, the occupancy chart is the same as what we have currently on the dashboard. Again, we can close that out here as well. And then we have readiness manager that again can be closed out right there from the dashboard. Now with readiness manager from here, you can click on the pie, and that is going to open up that readiness manager section within the VRM admin console directly from clicking on that little pie there. And then the VRM company news and info. So one of the changes, one of the widgets we just talked about, we have that little widget with the newspaper. You can click on that to add your company news and info. If you don't have any messages already existing, then that's the area that you need to click on to create a message. If you have messages already under company news and info, you have this little plus sign here. If you click on that, you can also create a new message right from there as well. So in my example here, I have VRM news and info. There's 2 messages that I have here, and I have 3 messages under my company news and info. It's showing me what employee created the message. So I created all 3 of these messages here under company news and info. If Lauren had created one of these in this database, it would show her name here. And then down below, this is also something new. You see, we have these little eyeball now. If once you've read the message, you can just click on that and it's going to gray it out. So you know that you have read one of the 2 messages. So now you only have 1 message that has not been read yet. And the same thing for company news and info. Okay, I have my 3 messages. I went ahead and marked this one as read. So now I have 2 messages that I have not yet marked as read. Okay, these messages, again, you have the ability to set the time frame to which they appear on the dashboard. So once that end date has come and gone, these messages will disappear from the dashboard. If there are no VRM news and info or company news and info messages to display, you will not see those sections on the dashboard. They will only appear if there is a new message to view. Okay, so once those have passed their end date, you will not see those modules widgets until a new message has been created. Okay. And that is what I have with our changes to the admin console. So I'm going to now pass things along to Lauren to talk about the changes to Welcome Home.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. And thank you for going over the changes that we're going to see to the dashboard of the admin console. I don't know about y'all, but I am really excited about some of the new enhancements that Jonathan and his team have been working on and some of the changes that we've got coming, not just in the functionality, but in the look and feel of it also. So that is exciting to me. All right, now we're going to switch gears a little bit and move into Welcome Home. For those of you guys who have been using Welcome Home, I know you have been promised some enhancements to Welcome Home for, a couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of years now. So we are really excited that we have had the opportunity to start incorporating these into our Welcome Home functionality. And with this, I do want to go ahead and preface this by saying there are more enhancements to come down the road. So we're just beginning to start working on improving this section of the VRM software. Alrighty. So with this, I am going to do some of this with slides and some of this live, just so you all can see more how to navigate through the new features in Welcome Home. So I hope that works out. If it doesn't and you guys are having issues following with the screen share, please put a comment in the question and answer section or another comment with regards to the presentation. So Michelle or Tammy or Tracy or anybody else monitoring it can see it, because I'm completely blind to all communication at this point.
Just to put Lauren at ease, I'm going to monitor that. So I have the chat and the Q&A open. So if there is any concerns or any problems following it, or just let us know.
Excellent.
It's like running in the space shuttle over here.
It's fun.
I'm pretty sure these girls could literally launch the space shuttle if they had.
We could at least go up and come back down. All righty. And since Tracy and Michelle both responded, I know my microphone is on this time, because there was one time that I started a webinar and got 15 minutes into it before I realized I had muted myself and failed to unmute. All righty. So with that in mind, we are going to start looking at Welcome Home. The first thing that I want to point out that is going to be new with Welcome Home is where the logs and the configuration sections are located. In the past, these were one of the menu options within Welcome Home, and they, just like the information for the event messages and the one-time messages, have been pulled out and are now under the Welcome Home menu on the dashboard. So with the logs, you still will be able to select it and see emails that have been sent out or text messages that have been sent out through your system if you're using Welcome Home Complete. And of course, if you're using Welcome Home Lite, you'll only see emails because that's what you guys have the capability of sending. But all this is still going to be logged here for you. And this is not just limited to the messages that are sent through Welcome Home. This also will show you other emails that have been sent out through your system. If you have any of the reservation emails set up to go out, you can also see here what has been sent and what may have failed to be sent. If something fails, it's usually in pink so that it stands out, and then you can just look at it a little bit closer to figure out why the message didn't go out. Usually it's because the email address that the guest provided wasn't good, but there can be other contributing factors to messages not going out. So if you notice that, feel free to contact us and we'll take a look at it to see if we notice anything on the backside that are causing issues with that. All right, so besides that, we're going to start looking at our one-time messages. So with the enhancements to Welcome Home with regards to our one-time messages, once these are rolled out, you will be able to create owner messages through Welcome Home. Yay! You'll be able to utilize some new tags. You'll have the ability to assign messages to specific properties. Another big yay. You will also be able to assign messages to a group of specific reservations. You'll be able to preview your message. You can assign a specific from address to a message so that when the guests reply back, it will go to the department that needs to have the guest responses. And we also have tweaked the ability to send messages immediately. All right. So in the past, when you wanted to create a message or an email to go out to your owners, this had to be done under the miscellaneous section in VRM, either under the manage emails section or by going into the CRM section and selecting the owner email. This is where you all could set emails up that would go out to all of your active owners. If you used a message in the past, it was automatically stored and listed for you here so that you could come back in and use it as the basis for sending another message if you needed to. Going forward, you will not have to create your messages in this section. Instead, you're going to want to do it under Welcome Home under the one-time message section. So with that, under Welcome Home and one-time messages, if you come into this section, you're going to notice under the user type, you now have the option of owners. So this is going to allow you to send messages out to your owners. And with this, you're going to have the ability to send not only messages out to your active owners, but you can target specific properties. And you can also send messages out to owners who have a reservation in your system. So in the past, and I know we've been asked this question, in the past, the messages that were sent out through Welcome Home to reservations did not include the owner reservations. So if you all were trying to reach your owners that were vacationing with you, there wasn't an easy way to do that. But now there is. So with your owner emails, you have the ability to set up a new message just like you did before when you were emailing your owners under the manage emails, or you can create a template just like you can in Welcome Home for your regular messages. And that way you can pull it up and utilize it again and again if you send the same information out to your owners more than once. And setting those templates up is going to be under the message templates section, and they work just like they do for guest templates. So if you guys are familiar with them already, the only difference is under the user type, you would select owner. And then if you created a template with owner selected, when you came into the one-time message and selected owner, the only templates that would be available would be those that you have designated as owner email templates. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at this and walk through it so you guys can see all that can be done with the owner emails. So we're going to go ahead and just select this owner statements already template to use as our example. So with this, we're going to come in, it's going to show us what our email looks like. If we were starting from scratch, we would come to this screen and we would be able to type out our message for our emails. Just like with our guest emails and text messages, we have the ability to insert tags. With this, because it is an owner message, we have special tags that our tech team and development team have worked together to be able to add to these emails that will contain the information for the owners. So with this, we have the tags for the owner's first and last name, and then we also have tags that can be added in with regards to information about the owner's property. And if they're staying with you guys, so there's an owner reservation and you have this set up to go to reservations that owners have made, you can also put in the information about their reservation, which includes not only the property name, check-in, check-out date, check-in, check-out time. So some of the same things that you have seen along the way with regular messages in the past. So with this, we have our message created. I've added 2 tags to this message and I've bolded them and put them in purple only so that they stand out for our preview section. Usually you would just put these in just like your normal text, because when the tags get filled in, it's going to be in the same font and text size and color as the tag is in your message. So with this, again, we're looking at owner messages, but this functionality is not limited to the owner messages. This functionality is going to be available for all one-time messages, whether you're sending it out to your owner or to your guests. So with that in mind, you have the ability to assign this message to a specific property. And I know that that's something people have been very interested in the past. With this, messages are automatically assigned to all properties. So if you have a message that you're setting up that you don't want to go out to the owners, in this case, of all your properties, you're going to want to come in here and change who's going to receive this message. Right now, again, automatically, both of my properties are assigned to the message, and this is my test database, so I just have 2 properties. I'm a small company, I'm growing, but right now I have Beach Times and Sunkissed in my section, in my rental inventory. So I'm going to keep both of these properties assigned. And then I'm going to come back over here. Now you see it's adjusted to show 2. Since I've gone in and looked at the properties that are assigned to the messages, it's going to update to show me how many properties I now have assigned to it. With this message, I'm going to want to send it out to all of my active owners. So for that, I would select all active owners. When I select this radio button, the system's going to say, okay, she wants to send this message out to all of our active owners who own the properties that are assigned to this message. If, for example, when I was doing my property assignments, I had removed one of the properties from it, so it was just assigned to one of my properties, even though I select all active owners here, it's only going to send it to the active owners of the property that's assigned to the message. With that in mind, I want to go ahead and show you guys this. So instead of sending it to your owners as you have in the past, reaching out to your active owners, you can also set the message up to go out to owner reservations. So to reservations that are owner type reservations instead of guest reservations. With that, you can choose to send it to the owners that are currently checked in, the owners that are checking in between specific dates or checking out between specific dates, or you can choose to send it to specific owner reservations. Now, again, we're looking at an owner reservation for this example, but these options are still available under the guest message. It will, of course, then say guests currently checked in, guests checking in, guests checking out, and specific guest reservations. In the past, when you selected the specific reservation to send it to, you were only able to enter one reservation in this box. But now, with the enhancements for Welcome Home, you can actually enter a string of reservations. So if you have 5 different reservations you want this message to go to, you can enter them in this box with a comma between them, and the system will send it out to the 5 different reservations instead of you all having to come in to create the reservation, excuse me, to create the message 5 times to send out individually to each reservation. So I want to point that out. And also with the owner reservation, as far as what you select here, this will tie into your reservation status. So for example, I can select to send a message out to the owners that are currently checked in, and I can say, okay, with this, The checked in box is automatically selected because I want to send it to the owners that are checked in. If they're supposed to be here, but they haven't checked in yet, they're not going to get the message. If, however, I select it to the owners that are checking in between specific dates, I say, okay, I want to target my owners that are coming in between July 22nd and July 31st. But I don't want to send it to reservations that could be on hold or that are partway confirmed or unconfirmed or checked out. So if they've already checked in, since today is the 22nd, I want them to get this message. And if they're unconfirmed, confirmed, I want them to get this message. So they're coming the next week or two, but they haven't checked in yet. I can limit who's going to receive this message based on the reservation status. One thing about this to keep in mind, though, is even if I'm sending this to the owners that are checked in between, or if it's a guest message, the guests that are checked in between these dates, and they have to have this reservation status, they also have to have a reservation in the property that's been assigned to this message. So if I have removed a property from this section, then the reservations for the property that I removed would not be included in the recipients that get this message. So just keep that in mind. And that is why the property assignments always are set up so that all of the properties are applied to a new message, so that then you just have to manually go in to change that if you need it. But as a default, it's set up to go to all properties. All right. So I'm going to change this back to all active owners. I've got both my properties assigned. And now I want to show you another super awesome feature with the Welcome Home enhancements. We have a preview button. So by clicking on this, you can look to see what your message looks like before it gets sent out. Additionally, you have a list of recipients below it. So right now, based on the way I have my message configured, I have these owners that will be receiving the message. With each owner, you'll notice I can check their email address. And beside the email address, I have a little eye icon and a little minus icon. If in looking at this list, I go, okay, Lauren does not need to get the email about the statements being ready to be put on the owner extranet because she really is not high tech at all. Bless her heart. We can't get her to understand how the internet works. We're going to have to mail her a copy of it. So there's really no reason to email this to her. So I can click this little minus sign and she is removed from the list of people who are going to get my message. I still have my other 4 owners listed, the other 4 addresses listed, so they're all set up to receive it. Now, there's more. If you click the little eyeball icon, the message will get filled in with the specific information for that recipient. So you can see here that I had in my message greetings and I had used the tag for the first name. And I also had a tag in for the name of the property. When I clicked on the eyeball associated with Kevin, it automatically filled in his first name and the property that he owns. So that again, you can see how your message is going to look even with the information filled in. And I just think that is an awesome, awesome enhancement to whatever already was a remarkable program. The last thing, well, the next to last thing I want to point out on this screen, and with regard to the one-time message, is that you have the ability to change the from email address. In the past, the from email address was set up in Welcome Home under the office level, and it still is set up there, so you still need to make sure you've got an address in that field. That address is what's going to default here as your from address, but you can change that. So for example, this message going out is regarding the owner statements, and you may have somebody at your company that works really closely with your owners, as well as with their accounting and their statements. So you might want to change this instead of it coming out from Lauren. You can change this to owner rep or somebody else in your company so that if the owner responds or if the guest responds when you send out a guest message, it'll go back to this address so that the responses can be more easily monitored by the person who would have the most contact with the people who received the message. So again, if you send out something about maintenance or housekeeping, you might want to change the from address to one of your maintenance crew or one of your housekeepers. Just a thought and just an option that you guys now have with the welcome home enhancements. Once you have gotten your message all ready to go, you've gotten all the recipients, double check this is who you want to receive your message, you can click the send message. In the past, with one-time messages, if you guys remember, you had the option to send the message now, or you could schedule to send the message later. Well, with the enhancements, we have either now or not now. There is no later. So with that, when you click send message, the message is going to be sent out to your guests or to your owners. In the past, when you clicked to send a message now, it usually took about 20 to 30 minutes, depending upon how busy the system was, for that message to go out, because the system would cycle through looking for all the messages that were set to be sent and would send them out. With the enhancements, we have revved up this section. So the messages will actually go out within about 5 minutes. Don't quote me on that, but about 5 minutes at least of when this send message button is clicked. With that in mind, you can no longer schedule one-time messages to go out, and that is because we found a bug with the timing of messages that were set to go out at a later date, and our super diligent tech team wants to take a closer look at that to be sure that everything is worked out with the timing so that messages don't get stuck and cause a backup and prevent messages from being sent that should be going out. So that's something they're going to work on, and we should see that returning in one of our future releases. But that is what we have for the changes to our one-time messages. And again, everything we looked at with the owners, you can also use for a guest message. So just for kicks and giggles, if you go into the one-time message and select guests, you can set templates up here. So if you guys have messages now that you've set up in VRM and you've scheduled them to go out at a later date, they're not going to go out if they're set to go out after the release of 7.0, which should be sometime early this fall. But don't quote me on that either. But I wanted to give you guys heads up on that. So if you have messages that are in your system that you have scheduled to go out at a later date, you might want to make a copy of those so that when this is released to you, you can come in and create templates for those messages. And then when the day is here that you need to send that information out, you can just select the template and send it out immediately. But with these, you can create new messages, use templates, and with that, it's going to work the same way. So you'll be able to go through, you can take a look at it, you can assign it to specific properties. You've got your options again for the guests currently checked in or for guests that are coming in between specific dates or checking out between specific dates. And just like with the owners, if you select the specific reservations here, you can put in more than one reservation number to send the message to. You can also choose what the status is for a reservation in order for the guest to receive it, and you can preview it. Trying to think for this one, I'm going to do it for all guests that are checking in for the month of July, just so we can see the preview again. So I've got one guest that's checking in between that time, and that's how you can check and see, okay, so based on the way with this message is set up and who we've selected to receive it, one guest is going to receive this message. All right. So that's what I've got about one-time messages. I've seen some questions come in, but I'm going to keep rolling through the event message section and then pick up all the questions at the end. And once I do that, oh, sorry,
Lauren,
I'm kidding.
just for an update, I've answered the questions that have come in.
Okay.
So so far what has come in, I've been able to get answered. So yeah, we're good to go.
All right, then rolling on. All right, so in addition to the enhancements that we've made to the one-time messages, we have also made enhancements to our event messages. So with the event messages, you are going to be able to more easily create the your property is clean messages if you're using Welcome Home Complete. You're going to be able to utilize new tags here. And with the enhancements, you'll also be able to assign messages to reservations based on reservation status and based on marketing code. Yay! All right, let's take a look at some of these. So, in the past, when you created your messages to let guests know the property was clean and ready to be checked into, you would come in to set up your event message and you'd have to check this cool but frustrating housekeeping checkbox. Once this box was checked, this is going to tell the system, okay, the messages that are going to be created is going to be dependent on the housekeeping status of the property. So once you check this box, you would have to think, okay, I'm going to send messages out to my guests to let them know if the property is clean prior to their normal check-in time. So in that case, I want to make sure this message is going to go out before the normal check-in time, 3 hours before, and I need to use the start end date of the reservation, the actual day and time the reservation is supposed to be checked in. So now you've told the system, okay, 3 hours before the normal check-in time, if the property status is changed to is clean, I want to send this message out. But if the property isn't clean, I want to set up a second message to go out up to 3 hours after the normal check-in time if the property status is changed to is clean, to apologize for the late um, completion of the cleaning of the property so the guest knows they can check in then. And that works really well. It just takes a little bit of time to think through the timing and how to set that up. So, with that in mind, with the release of 7.0, our tech team has made that a little bit easier to navigate through. So, now under the event messages, if you come in and you're going to set up your message to let guests know the property is cleaned early and they can check in, under the reservation event, you need to select clean before scheduled check in. And when you do that, your timing options will pop up. It's automatically going to default to the use scheduled day times because that's the time that the system sees it's supposed to check in. And it's automatically going to select before for you, and after is going to be grayed out so you can't even select it. So again, it's just making it a little bit easier to get these messages set up and scheduled. So with this, if you're going to send a message out, letting your guests know the property is cleaned early, you select the clean before scheduled check-in, and then you just need to tell the system how many hours before your scheduled check-in you want the system to start sending these messages out. And just as a reminder, and I know I mentioned this, but I just want to clearly point this out. This functionality is only available with Welcome Home Complete. So if you guys are still using Welcome Home Lite, you're not going to see these options as far as timing, but we'll be happy to get you guys set up on Welcome Home Complete if it's something you think you can benefit from. So just let us know. We'll be happy to help you with that. And for those of you that are already using Welcome Home Complete, that may not have utilized this specific part of it before, we'll be happy to help you set those messages up as well so that you can communicate to guests if they can check in early. Apologize to guests if they are good, you're going to have to delay their check-in because the property was clean late. And you also have a third option here, not ready at scheduled check-in. If you set this message up, then at your specific check-in time, so if your system is configured so that check-in time is 4 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, the system will go through and look for any properties that currently don't have the is clean status, and we'll send this message out to guests for those properties, letting them know the property isn't clean yet. But again, with this option, you just have to select not ready at check-in. Whereas in the past, you had to click this button, remember to select 0, select after, and then there still was some and eagerly anxious reservationists wanting to know what that message was actually going to do. So just cleaning that up a bit for you. On the screen in the past, with regards to the reservation status, you have the option of either including unconfirmed reservations or excluding unconfirmed reservations. With the new Welcome Home, you actually have a variety of different reservation statuses you can choose from as far as who you want to receive this message. So if you are creating a message to send out to the reservations that are checked in, if they haven't checked in yet, you can still include them in this message if you need to. Reservations when payments are made, when a reservation is canceled. So again, the reservation statuses can just help you more specifically target the group of guests that you want to receive the messages that you're sending out. So I think a very, very helpful tool. The next thing that we want to look at with our event messages is probably the one that will make you all the most excited. And it is the ability to assign a message to specific marketing codes. So when we switch over to the new enhanced version of Welcome Home, all the messages that you guys currently have in your system will come over, and they're all automatically going to be assigned to all marketing codes. So when we were looking at our one-time messages, just like they are automatically assigned to all properties, the short-term event messages are automatically assigned to all marketing codes. To adjust that, you would select your message and then click on the assign marketing codes. So we're going to take a look at my thank you for your payment message. Right now, it's assigned to all marketing codes, which means any reservations that are put into VRM are going to get this message once a payment has been applied to that reservation. Now, I, as a property manager, don't particularly like to send out that message to my guests who booked through Airbnb and VRBO, because a lot of times we don't receive that money from Airbnb and VRBO until after the guest has checked out or has checked in. And that sometimes concerns my guests when I send them thank you for your payment after they have left. So now I can select to send this message to the guests who are an owner referral, a repeat guest, found us from a rental sign or booked on our website, and it will not generate messages to my reservations that are coming in through Airbnb or VRBO or Lodgeable in this example, letting them know that a payment has been applied to their reservation. And again, to me, that's awesome because I can target who I need to with the information that's going to be specific to those guests based on how they made their reservation and how they booked with us. So now when I come back out to the screen, you can see when I select my thank you for your payment message, the assigned marketing codes is 4. That's currently assigned to 4 marketing codes. And again, the reservations that have those marketing codes on them will be the reservations that receive this email. And again, super awesome. Kudos to the tech development team for adding that enhancement. I know we have gone through a lot of information today with the changes to the admin console that Michelle walked you guys through, and the different widgets, the changes to the look and feel, and then of course the changes to Welcome Home. Anytime we do things like this, we know you guys are going to have questions. So we want to see what kind of questions you have now. Michelle says she's been going through answering them as I've been chugging along here. But we wanted to see if anybody else had some, and also to remind you guys that if you think of questions after we end the webinar today, don't hesitate to reach out to us at VRM GR. Well, let's take that back. Let's do help@vrmgr.com or put in a help ticket, and we'll be happy to respond to you that way. And I think we'll have some additional information coming out as we get closer to our release date. But that is what I think I have for today. So I'm going to throw it back to Michelle and see what kind of questions you guys have and what we can do for you.
So Lauren, great job. Thank you. Can you bring up your live screen?
Yes.
So one of the questions we got, thank you, Stephanie, was is version 7.0 enhanced responsive for all mobile devices. So if you can bring your screen down, Lauren, the dashboard is, so we are, this part is responsive, still the modules, we're working on those, so it's not every module within the admin console, but the dashboard is mobile friendly. So we are, working little bits at a time for mobile friendly. But yes, this part of it is mobile friendly. So that I just wanted to bring up. Thank you, Stephanie, for the question. To review some of the other questions, 2 that we got were will the release affect the current messages that you have set up in your system? The answer to that is no for the event messages. The event messages that you currently have set up, when we release this version to you, it will carry those event messages over that you have set up for in the system already. Okay. The one-time messages, the one change here is that later option that Lauren mentioned. If you currently have a message to be sent up later, like maybe you have something already set up under one time to go out at Thanksgiving, that will not carry over because the later option is not available under this this update. So that's the one that Lauren had mentioned. If you have something currently set up as a one-time message to be sent out at a later date, copy that message so that you can then create a template. And then once you have this release, and then from that template, when you're ready to send that out, you can use that template to send out that that message under the one-time messages. But yes, your event messages will carry over that you currently have in place. I'm trying to think, Lauren, if you want to look at the answered questions, see if there's anything that you want to add to that. Is one-time messages available under Welcome Home Light? The answer to that is yes. What is not available under Welcome Home Light is the ability to do texting and the guest extranet options, which at this point are the same as what you have currently under Welcome Home Complete. Carol at Sunset Properties had a great question. Is there several, they have several different offices. Can they choose which office to send guest messages to? As Lauren just went over, I think this question came in right before Lauren did the event messages. But you do now have the ability to select the office and the properties you want to receive the message. So that is one of the great enhancements Lauren just went over. And it looks we have a couple more. Okay, a lot of questions of when this is going live. So we are currently looking for beta testers. We do understand that, you know, this is something that is going to change your messages. You know, everything should, other than that one-time message for later, everything should flow through fine. But we all know that there's always hiccups, right? So we are looking for beta testers, and we are ready to release this to beta. But we want to make sure we get a significant number of beta testers that use Welcome Home currently, but are willing to understand that, you know, there could be hiccups, right? So if you maybe don't use that many and you were willing to beta test it for us, or, you know, even if you use a lot and you want to beta test it, that'd be great. Reach out to us at the help desk. If you have any questions or you are interested in being a beta tester. We were looking to fully release this sometime in the fall, in case some of our clients have concerns with it being released during the busy summer season. So that's kind of where our thought process is right now as far as the release time for this. But again, please let us know if you're interested in and willing to be a beta tester for this. That would be wonderful. We would greatly appreciate that. So again, and our help ticket, put in the subject line, you know, release 7.0, and then just put in there, you know, would like to beta test this, or any questions that you have about that, or just any questions that maybe, like Lauren said, that you have after you're done this webinar, or when you've rewatched the webinar, or your employees have questions when they watch the webinar that couldn't make it today. We'll be happy to answer any of those questions. Okay, so that is what we have. So is there any other questions that have come in, Lauren, that or anything you want to add to any of the ones that I've answered?
Nope, all the answers you provided were awesome, and that doesn't surprise me one bit. So everything looks good for me.
Okay, well, it looks like all of the questions have been answered. I just took double peek myself just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Any last things to wrap up, Lauren or Michelle?
Nope, that's it. Again, anyone willing to beta test, please reach out to us and let us know. But we do understand. Isaac pointed out has a good point there, and that's what we have thought about, and that's why we have the overall release date set for the fall. So not to put pressure on you guys to have this change come about mid busy season. So yes, if whoever's willing to beta test it, we will greatly appreciate it, but we understand where where you're coming from, Isaac. So thank you.
And just
Yeah,
again,
absolutely. And we're trying to make sure that we kind of are sensitive to you're in your busy season right now, and then come, after the holidays will be a heavy booking season for you. So we're trying to schedule and be really sensitive to that, but also working with our dev team as well and their timeline. So we appreciate everybody's patience. Definitely, as we have information, we will be communicating that to you right away. So please be on the lookout for messages via email, via the admin console. And certainly if we end up seeing multiple questions coming in that are of the same nature, we will make sure we communicate the answer that's out to everybody, not just only the people who ask it. So we'll try to be as communicative as we can, but again, understanding that, I have a feeling a lot of people's seasons are going to run pretty long this year, which is a great problem to have. I was looking at some bookings earlier for one of our clients, and booked out into the season a lot later than normal. I mean, everything's full. I mean, it's just full. So I hope that's a great problem that you guys are having, and we will continue to be sensitive to that. I want to thank Michelle and Lauren so much for being our guides today and driving us through these very exciting updates. We are so excited to bring to you all these updates. And Michelle, there's one other question that just came in. Do you want to look at that real quick? And this will be officially our last question. Everything else after this point will need to come through help@vrmgr.com.
So I'm going to ask Lauren for help on this. Let's see. I'm sorry. I was under the answered. Let's see. Currently, we use Welcome Home for ready for check-in messages. On some occasions, the text message get out despite the property status. I have found that the rules get wiped out. Has this bug been caught? I'm not aware of that issue. Have you heard of this issue before, Lauren?
I think Jonathan might have been looking into it, but I'll have to follow up with him to see.
I mean, I do know that that part of Welcome Home is very sensitive to the checking in, checking out of reservations, any update to the reservation. Again, this is just off the top of my head. I'm sorry, Morgan, I don't know of this specific issue. So Lauren and I will follow up with Jonathan and get back to you on that. But if a reservation gets checked in before the time of those messages, that can definitely mess with the messages going out. So there can be an issue there, but we will get with Jonathan about that and see what we find out, and he'll hear back from me or an update from me or Lauren on that. Okay. But thank you for the question.
Wonderful. Well, as I mentioned at the very beginning of today's webinar, everything that you saw today will be available via replay. There are a bunch of different ways that you're going to have access to that replay, which will also include the slide deck that Michelle and Lauren presented today. So that's going to come to you in a recap, which will come in the form of an email. Most likely tomorrow. That will be my goal, to get it to you tomorrow so you have it, and then you could forward that email on to anybody else in your team who wasn't able to make it today. It will also be live on the admin console, so you can just click straight from there, or you can navigate directly to virtualexammanager.com, find our blog, and it should be at the top of our blog roll. So there you have it. Those are the updates we have thus far for you for 7.0. I know we'll have more information for you as time progresses, but thank you so much for being with us today. We hope the rest of your July is spectacular, and that your guests are easy breezy and all things work well for you in the coming months. May have an amazing rest of your summer season. And from everybody here at VRM, thank you so much for being amazing clients of ours. We're so thankful. Have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.